Hello friends and welcome back to Nova Draws, the show where I neglect doing Inktober because my brain wants to draw Pokemon instead. Now, as many of you may know, last year I started a project where I was designing spooky Pokemon for a holiday-themed game that doesn't exist. There were a couple different pumpkin Bulbasaurs that you could get if you hatched them in a seasonal pumpkin patch at just the right time of year. Charmander could be given to you as a gift in a town populated by witches, and a Squirtle that bonded with bones in a graveyard, as well as a bunch of other spooky little silly friends. Now, the plan was originally to just be done with the series after the Squirtle one finished up earlier this month, but y'all seem to really like that one, and I have been getting requests literally every day since I posted that to do more of them. I really can't leave you hanging, so to placate you animals, I'm going to be doing 2 more pages this year. I'm going to show you my thought process, my drawing process, and detail how each of them fits into the game that I've been cooking up. Now, this is going to be part 1 of a 2-part video, and today we're going to be looking at the FENNEKIN line, the little fox that started off really cool and then kind of just turned into a furry, you know that one? You may be thinking why I'm not just going in order and doing Chikorita next, and the answer to that is because I couldn't think of anything yet, and I really wanted to draw Delphox but better, okay? Get off my back. Also, I had a great idea for making FENNEKIN into a necromancer, and I promise you that is going to turn out really cool. Okay, so let's get started. Now, in my Charmander page that I had done last year, I detailed how you could get access to a secret town populated by witches who have Pokemon helping them out with spells and stuff like that. Perfect for Halloween. I want to say in the Badlands around that town. There are some less friendly witches that are experimenting with dark magic and ghost Pokemon. They're not necessarily evil, they're just outcasted. And they are friendly with all manner of creepy Pokemon, including this little feral FENNEKIN that likes digging up and playing with bones. They're adorable. Maybe even we give him some little horns? Now, the first Pokemon in any of these lines is the one that I changed the least. So FENNEKIN is just going to be holding a bone, kind of like a Cubone would. Okay, so this FENNEKIN is probably going to have some, bags under its eyes. I didn't draw pupils in this because I just had an idea of how I want Delphox's face to look, and it requires that these FENNEKIN be born blind. That doesn't mean they can't see. They're very spiritual animals in nature, but their eyes are glazed over. They are physically blind. Okay, so basic sketch, and my god, I am so mad at myself for drawing in the wrong layer, but that's okay, we can always fix these problems. So we have a mangy little FENNEKIN holding a bone. We're going to go back and refine that in a few minutes, but next we just need to have to work on a sketch of the following evolution, Braixen. Braixen? Is it Braixen? I've literally never heard this Pokemon's name spoken out loud before. So one thing I do absolutely love about Braixen, just as a normal design, is the stick that it has tucked away in its tail, which it uses as a magic wand. And that's also perfect for this design because we can replace that with a bone. Braixen looks like a rabbit. Gonna fix that and make her look more like a fox. Don't worry. Don't you worry. Okay, so my idea here is Braixen has a couple of horns. Kind of like the Nightmare Abra. But we'll decide that in a second. Gonna get this... Sorry, more complicated Pokemon designs are difficult to do. Big, bushy, mangy tail. I cannot stress that enough. These characters are mangy. Okay, and there's Braixen. Move them over here. Delphox. Let's get Delphox in here. Delphox is a very good silhouette, I think, of a trainer, but not necessarily a Pokemon. Let's see. This Delphox has to be based kind of on Morticia Adams, more or less, so a gown that goes all the way to the floor is what I'm thinking. And we're adding the incredibly long bone here. Fully working. So, the idea I had, and I'm not sure if this is going to work out at all, is, I don't know, they're being blinded, maybe? Del Toro-esque? And then some fire. And kind of maybe a Marowak type deal. Now I'm going to start inking these. Fear not, I'm going to add in the sideline Pokemon that you all love in just a couple of minutes, but now that I have a chance to talk with you directly, I really wanted to discuss my game pitch I mean, it's not really a pitch. I know Nintendo would never actually do something like this, but a ROM hack one day, or what we in the industry call a pipe dream. When I posted the Pumpkin Bulbasaur a while back, the idea was that somewhere in a new game, probably a mainline game, there would be a big garden that the player could tend to farm berries or whatever else they needed to farm. It would be part of a larger mechanic that I might talk about in the future. However, the garden was affected by the seasons, meaning that in the fall it would turn into a big old pumpkin patch where you could get your pumpkins, and if you hatched a Bulbasaur egg in the pumpkin patch, it would have a pumpkin on its back. Do that during the week of Halloween, and there's a chance it would be a jack-o'-lantern Bulbasaur. And as I added more spooky Pokemon to the seasonal game, a lot of people started calling it the Halloween-themed Pokemon game. That wasn't the intention, but now that I've drawn so many Halloween and fall-themed Pokemon, I guess it could be. I plan on doing some winter ones this year too, actually, so maybe even just a seasonal game. What I would love to see, though, I would love to see this be some kind of a Halloween event in Pokemon Go. And Niantic actually just started doing costumed Pokemon for Pokemon Go. I just saw the trailer for that earlier today, and I don't know if that's going to be out when this video drops, but it might be, and that would be fun. So who knows, we might be able to actually see that, or something close to it. My second suggestion would be for Nintendo to make a much smaller adventure game, sort of adjacent to the mainline series. I might make a whole episode detailing this just because I really want to get it on paper, but Nintendo could make a short adventure game that they could sell at the eShop for like, 10 or 20 US dollars, and something that's entirely Halloween themed, or maybe the whole game's environment changes based on the season and it can be a holiday themed game. And I can already hear you typing in the comments that that's a ridiculous idea and definitely wouldn't happen. I know. I truthfully know that. I'm not holding out hope for something like that to happen. I'm just pitching an idea, and maybe if enough of you like it, then you can kind of just, yell at Nintendo until they do it. Now, this wouldn't be one of my world-famous Halloween Pokemon variant pages if it didn't have a bunch of spooky little friends standing on the sidelines. So I've been thinking about which Pokemon I want to spookify for this piece. And I got to thinking, if this is a line of necromancers, then all of these Pokemon should have something to do with the undead, or at least bones. So, off the top of my head, what's undead? Mummies. We all love mummies. And there aren't too many mummy Pokemon. Why? Because Nintendo are cowards. And also, there hasn't been a game set in Egypt yet. That should absolutely be Gen 9, by the way. But to fit with the theme, I think we should do a mummy Sandshrew, which is an idea I've actually had in my head since the summer. I was originally thinking that this could just be like a costume, like a trick-or-treater costume. But honestly, Sandshrew is sand, mummies is sand. I feel like this doesn't even need to be a holiday variant, it could just be a desert variant. Maybe even after you get your bone-hunting FENNEKIN, you need to go into an ancient tomb to collect some special bones. And that's where you encounter this boyo. So it's a variant, maybe one of many, that evolved underground after spending many years guarding the dead in ancient tombs. Maybe it's just the one tomb that you can find, or maybe there's several that just appear and disappear depending on the weather of the day. Kinda like those ones from Ruby and Sapphire, maybe? If you remember what I'm talking about, although I don't really remember how those work exactly. Sorry, I'm still deciding on a pose for this guy. I think arms in the air, like the classic mummy movies, or he's like casting a spell. He's summoning locusts to eat our flesh and add it to his own. I could draw locusts around him, but won't that be Shedinja? They're already spooky. Nah, I'll save that for another time. Gotta add some bandages trailing behind him. Kind of like that one Pokemon whose name escapes me. Kind of looks like a mummy. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but gonna give him some cool as hell teardrop eyes. Like an eyebrow ridge to make him look angry. Some swirly ears. Okay, that's dope for now. I'm gonna ink you later. And let's decide what friends FENNEKIN has. Definitely need to have a Mimikyu somewhere on this page, and I think that's what we're gonna do next to FENNEKIN. And I literally just thought of an idea for Mimikyu that I love, and I'm gonna do that in a minute, because right now, I have an idea for Togepi, and it's not bone-based. I've just been dying to put him on one of these pages, and I can't think of how it's going to go on to the next one, so... Okay, so I accidentally stopped recording because I'm what the kids call a dumbass, so I didn't get to show you the reveal of the Togepi that I had, or for the Mimikyu, so let me just show you what I have here. We have an adorable little pumpkin Togepi, who was from an idea I had a while back about Pokemon Go having a Halloween event during October where at night, baby Pokemon would wear costumes and wander around your map as trick-or-treaters. Again, idea for another episode, but like I mentioned before, we may actually be getting something like that now that we do have some Halloween costume Pokemon, besides just the Witch Hat Pikachu that they do every year. Second one on here, the Mimikyu, just wanted to get on the Bone Train. Bone Train, yeah. And so he put on a Cubone skull and went to the party. It's adorable. And lastly, we have the friends that will be partying down here with Delphox. And Delphox, I have a different idea for Delphox, which I think is going to change the game a little bit. The idea being, Delphox can raise the dead. Not all dead, obviously, just skeletons of Pokemon, specifically fossil Pokemon. And maybe even Cubone, because that's the only other Pokemon that seems to be able to die. But I digress. So in every Pokemon game, there are fossils that you can clone to resurrect into fossil Pokemon, and that's always fun. That used to be one of my favorite features of the original games. But this Delphox, using dark magics, can straight up just raise the dead if it has enough bones. Let me elaborate on that. So your FENNEKIN has an ability, let's call it Fetch, where it can collect bones as you travel. So if you collect enough of a specific type of bone, as well as have your FENNEKIN fully evolved into a Delphox by this point, you can return to those dark witches and resurrect fossil Pokemon that will always be a rock ghost type. In this example, the resurrected Pokemon would either be a KABUTO or a Craniados. Let's say you can do this to any fossil Pokemon if you have their bones, but you can only get their pre-evolved forms. Just because it's fun to evolve them, and it would be really cool to see what kind of bone-like Pokemon they'd be afterwards. Alright, so now it's time to pitch the section of my Halloween Pokemon game that I've detailed on this page. As the player progresses through their journey in this Pokemon region, they will eventually come across a closed-off area, or at least one that's really difficult to traverse, but if you make your way through it, you find a town filled with friendly witches who will give you quests, sell you exclusive items, they'll let you capture exclusive Pokemon like the White Ghastlies or the Black Meowths, as well as give you a Witch Charmander as an ultimate gift. As a quest for something that we can decide later, you must go out into the Badlands outside of the town and help some dark witches with a resurrection project of some kind. You're given a feral ghost FENNEKIN who has a penchant for collecting bones and playing with them. You are tasked to go down to the south of the region and find some magical ancient tombs that appear and disappear depending on the time of day. You go inside and it is your job to find special types of magic bones buried deep in the catacombs, some of which probably being held by mummy Sandshrew, which guard the temples. You return to the Dark Witches with your FENNEKIN, now fully a Delphox, and some bones you've collected on your journey. The witches resurrect a Pokemon they have been trying to resurrect for years. The project works perfectly. And they rejoice and tell you that if you ever have enough bones, you can return to resurrect a skeleton Pokemon with the help of your Delphox. In addition, Mimikyu wants to join the Bone Party and hides inside a Cubone skull while Togepi trick-or-treats in Pokemon Go and makes its way into your little side game through Pokemon Home, or whatever will happen at the time. Alright, let's take a look at the finished pieces, which I didn't record myself painting because they take a really long time. We have a scruffy FENNEKIN who collects bones to play with and gives to the player for magical purposes. Braixen begins using the bones as wands so it can learn dark magics. Delphox, blind but fully in tune with the universe, uses its powers to resurrect the bones it collects. Mimikyu wanders around Delphox's nest and burrows in Pokemon bones as a disguise. Togepi wears a pumpkin instead of an egg. This breed of Sandshrew developed a mummy-like appearance after guarding ancient underground tombs in the desert for many years. These fossil Pokemon had just their fossils resurrected and now walk the earth as the undead skeletons. And that's all I had for this page. I had a lot of fun drawing these, I had a lot of fun coming up with these little game mechanics. I'll post a link to the written descriptions of all of these Pokemon as well as their PNGs in the description. I'll also be posting links to all of my other socials if you want to follow me on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, wherever. It would mean the world to me if you could give those a look. Also, this was technically a prompt video, so I feel obligated to say that if you guys have any ideas for what you'd like to see me draw next, literally anything, art challenges, different types of fandoms, whatever you want, I'm game. I'm always looking for new things to draw. Otherwise, that concludes this Pokemon page. I'll be back with part 2 next week if I planned everything out correctly. I'm not going to say just yet what Pokemon are going to be on that page. I will just say that it's not a starter page, and it's a bit familiar, but it's something that a lot of people have been asking for. So, thank you so much for sticking around till the end. This was so much fun to do. I will see you guys next time I do something. Catch 'em all and be the very best like no one ever was. That's my outro this time. Alright, peace out, guys.